Today we will be going over the basic things people need in order to do group PVE content. Things like what options you need on that have an effect in game, what they each do, and what their use is inside instances and raids. These are the settings we will be talking about in this video. We're going to address each one of these individually, so let's get right into it. Particle effects is one of the more important settings, as it allows you to see boss mechanics that affect you and your friends. If you don't already know, you can find the particle effects in your options, advanced graphics, and then you just scroll down until you see it. Now that you found the particle effects, click on the arrow to see the options. Out of these four options, the only two you should use are all or me plus targets. The reason for this is that if you have me plus targets, you will see all particle effects that you and your targets are causing, such as the famous eye mechanics that many bosses have. The difference from the last one in all is that if you select all, you will see effects on your fellow raid members as well. So if one of your friends' PC can't handle the effects on, you can just call it out for him. Keep in mind that in order to see some of these effects, you also need to have other options on that we are going to have a look at right now. Special effects is just as important, if not more than the first one, because this one turns on the effects, whereas the previous one was to select the target it would affect. If you don't already know where it is, simply go into your options, select UI, and scroll down until you find it. Now that you found it, you're going to want to turn the two effects you see here on, because without them, you won't see any sort of effects. Moving on to combat options, we have a couple of stuff here that affects things in the game. In case you don't know where to find these, go into your options and then select combat options on the right. We're going to go through each one of these one at a time from the top to the bottom. Auto target comes into play when you don't have a target and you get hit, automatically targeting that enemy. Skills enable default attack come into play whenever you use a skill. The game will automatically begin to use your normal attacks, depending only if you're melee or a range class. Skills target nearest enemy happens when you use a skill and have nothing as a target, automatically selecting the closest enemy. Skill target forwarding is probably the most important one here, as it's used a lot in the game together with the rat. The way it works is that you select someone. If that someone is targeting an enemy at the time that you use a skill, your skill will go through that person to the enemy. This is very useful when you want to focus your DPS during a boss fight, or even in PvP, or when you don't know when to target anything at all. Vitals of your selection target is used mostly to see where your enemy is targeting. This is mostly used by tanks to see if they lost aggro. Combat particle response is used by classes that require a response skill, for people to see they can use a skill easier. An example of that would be a guardian trying to get a retaliation off. If you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see that you have a couple more options. The assist window is the most important setting to have on in the game. It appears as a window on your screen that shows a select member of your raid, so you can focus your skills through him using the skill target forwarding that we just talked about. Persistent area effect visualization appears as the red squares on the ground, indicating that if you stand in them, you might suffer damage or get a debuff depending on the situation. This usually happens when an enemy uses a skill. Moving on to the InGame Voice feature. You can find it in your options, clicking on audio and then scrolling down. Now that you've found it, simply enable it. Keep in mind that usually people use other programs like Discord or TeamSpeak. Personally, I only use this in PvP. That's the end of this week's video. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and don't forget to comment on your thoughts about the video. See you guys next time.